So among the comedians who have been moving away from the MAGA crowd, who have been increasingly criticizing the president, the same president that they originally were championing, that they were originally inviting onto their podcast, having a chummy conversation with them, getting them to come across as much more relatable, to make them look like they're not billionaires. Among those who are regretting that and who are increasingly speaking out against this current administration is Theo Von. And Theo Von recently has been not just drifting away from the MAGA crowd, but has been actually criticizing them and just speaking out against some of this disgusting and despicable behavior of some of these ICE agents, like just throwing people to the ground who are U.S. citizens, going over to elementary schools and trying to talk to these students without the permission of the parents, like just completely stripping people away of their rights and just completely on the Constitution, completely on what it means to be an American. It's really disgusting. And so Theo Von recently was used by the Department of Homeland Security on their Twitter page, which if you follow the Department of Homeland Security's Twitter page, all they do is pretty much is they just rage bait. They tweet a picture of a brown person and say like, this guy is a racist. This guy like does these horrible things. It's just classic rage baity. So what they did is that they had this sizzle reel of ICE with a clip of Theo Von at the very beginning. I'll show it here on the screen.
Heard you got deported, dude. Bye.
And so Theo Von quote tweeted it saying, "Yo, DHS, I didn't approve to be used in this. I know you know my address, so send a check. And please take this down, and please keep me out of your banger deportation videos. When it comes to immigration, my thoughts and heart are a lot more nuanced than this video allows. Bye." And so, of course, the Department of Homeland Security deleted the tweet because they were getting absolutely ratioed. And Theo Von addressed the situation on one of his most recent podcasts, and we're going to go ahead and take a listen to hear what he has to say.
The Department of Homeland Security put a video up online talking about they started making like trap beat edits and like banger edits to evicting people from the country, right? Or eliminating illegals, maybe some criminals, some people just undocumented, all, just across the spectrum, right? So they put a video of mine that I'd made for somebody in a parking lot, probably like maybe a year and a half ago, just jokingly. I think it was a year and a half ago. They put it in at the front of this Department of Homeland Security, like trap beat. I think they had like, I'm not sure if they had like young boy lyrics or whatever they had, but it was ridiculous. And the video was a girl had walked up to me in a parking lot and she had said, "Hey, my friend just got deported. What do you have to say? Do you have a message?" I can't remember what it was. And I was just like, "Bye." And I didn't know if it was real or not. I had no idea. I was just joking around. It's a stranger came up to me in a parking lot. I think it was after a show, and there were some people gathered around, and we were just kind of like BSing and taking pictures and just kind of associating, right? So anyway, long story short, that happens. So this video goes mega viral, 25 million, 30 million views. It's everywhere. And the front of of that Homeland Security video, it's on the White House thing. It's on everything. It's everywhere. And the first 10 seconds of it are me, right? Like, I don't have anything to do with this shit. Nobody asked me about it. Like nobody said, "Hey, this is going to happen." Like, and I have a lot of different thoughts about immigration, right? They're like showing people getting arrested. Like, it's just an intense thing. Like, and why is the government even making these? I don't know. But that's where we're at in the world.
Yeah, they're just shit posting at this point. Go over to the Homeland Security Twitter page, and all they do is just tweet out a picture of a person of color and then say, like, this person's a criminal, this person's a racist. Like, they're just rage baiting. It's just clear rage bait. And it sucks that we don't have a serious administration. Like, we just have a shit posting, rage baiting, like, drunk uncle has the entire administration pretty much.
And I have a lot of thoughts about immigration, right? I have a ton of them. And we don't need to go into them all right now. I've talked about them on other episodes. I feel like they're doing a lot of bookkeeping in the country right now because we're going to get into a surveillance state and everyone is going to have to be on the books, right? So
to hear more about what he has to say, I may make a video about this. Check out the Palantir contract that was just recently negotiated. It's scary what they're doing.
But this was just wild, and people are like sending messages and like hateful stuff, and you think all these illegals should and all this type of shit, and like I could talk to you ad nauseum about that, but this wasn't the time for it. It just was something that they used and put out there and everybody saw, right? So I'm getting a ton of hateful stuff. And I'm trying to remember everything. I'm trying to kind of remember everything right now. And but this video goes everywhere, and I'm getting like a lot of like, dude, what the fuck? Just all kind of shit, right? Like my phone just blew. I'm like, what the hell? It's just like the last thing I needed, right? There's a week left to this special, and this happens. You know, this thing comes out. And my father immigrated here from Nicaragua, right? Like one of my prized possessions is I have his immigration papers when he came here. And I have them in a frame, and him and his siblings when they came here. And so I have tons of thoughts about it, but this was just fucked up, right? It was fucked up. And it was everywhere. It was like on all platforms and stuff.
I really sympathize with what he's saying here, because I do agree. I don't think, by and large, people disagree that there's an issue with immigration. When you look at the polls, people legitimately do have issues with the way in which immigration has previously been conducted. But that doesn't justify what the administration is currently doing, because as Theo Von says, it's really fucked up what they're doing, and it's precisely because of the way that they're choosing to address the issue of illegal immigration that people's views on immigration are actually starting to become increasingly more and more positive. They're having less issues with immigration, according to every poll that has come out since, and more issues with the way ICE is being conducted. And because of this, people now have a much more negative view of ICE, even among Republicans. And Theo Von isn't the only one who's having an issue with this. Joe Rogan as well, who's another, MAGA podcast bro, whatever, who invited Donald Trump on, invited Elon Musk on, just had the whole MAGA crew there. Kash Patel was on his show, and he's starting to have a change of heart. But like the issue is, how do you approach the situation if like 95% of your fan base voted for Trump, if 95% of your fan base are part of like the anti-woke issue, the anti-woke crowd that has just been ruining this country, whose entire identity is just complaining about trans people and people with pronouns in their bio. So, I mean, that's where we are now. Let's see if anything develops with Theo Von or with Joe Rogan, any of these other podcasters who are starting to like slowly distance themselves from MAGA, slowly distance themselves from that political identity that they've kind of established for themselves. And hopefully with this changing cultural shift, it's happening slowly but surely. It is happening. People are moving away from MAGA. People are waking up and realizing that, holy shit, this administration has just been completely lying to us about everything. We saw with Andrew Schultz, he said like he didn't vote for any of this. He hates what's going on. Theo Von is moving away from it. Joe Rogan is moving away from it. And even comedians within this sphere, like on the Bad Friends podcast with Andrew Santino and Bobby Lee, they themselves, or more specifically Andrew Santino, calling out the fact that so many of these podcasters think that they're political pundits now, and he recognized like this is not the venue for politicians to be coming on and then just selling themselves to your audience. And so we'll see what happens. I mean, who knows? For all we know, things could get worse, things could get better. It's strange times, to quote Joe Rogan.